Have you ever stopped in the middle of a busy day, looked around at your life, the job, the relationships, the routine, and felt a sudden chilling sense of unreality? It is a feeling that is difficult to put into words. It isn't necessarily sadness, and it isn't quite boredom. It is a haunting, silent question that rises from the very marrow of your bones. Is this it? Is this all there is to being human? You might be driving to work, staring at a spreadsheet, or laughing at a dinner party, and suddenly the script you have been handed by society feels like a fiction. The things that used to matter, the promotion, the new car, the social approval, suddenly look like toys in a nursery, devoid of weight or meaning. If this resonates with you, understand this: you are not losing your mind. You are not broken. In fact, for the first time in your life, you are beginning to break through. You are standing at the precipice of the most profound transformation a human being can experience. You are entering the process of a spiritual awakening. But before we map the territory, we must understand what this term actually means, because it has been clouded by misconceptions. A spiritual awakening is not just about seeing angel numbers, buying crystals, or learning to meditate, though those things may happen. At its core, a spiritual awakening is a fundamental shift in identity. It is the dismantling of the illusion that you are merely a separate, isolated ego, a name, a body, a history, fighting for survival in a hostile world. It is the realization that the you thought you were is just a character, a mask, a persona, and that the real you is the vast, silent awareness behind that mask. It is the process of consciousness waking up to itself through you. And understand, this dismantling is not a declaration of war against the ego. The ego is not an enemy to be slain. It is a beautiful and necessary tool, a focusing lens for physical reality. The shift is in its job description. You are simply lovingly transitioning it from being the terrified captain of the ship to being the excited first mate, who gets to enjoy the journey being navigated by your true self, your higher mind. This journey is the most rewarding path you can walk, but it is also the most challenging. It is a destruction before it is a creation. It is a death before it is a rebirth. Because this territory is so vast, confusing, and often lonely, mystics, psychologists like Carl Jung, and sages throughout history have mapped out the terrain. Today, we are going to walk through the 5 universal stages of this awakening. We will explore the traps of the ego, the confrontation with the shadow, and the ultimate arrival at peace. As you explore this map, remember one of our core principles: everything is here and now. While these stages are a wonderful way for your physical mind to understand the process, you are not truly climbing a ladder. It is more of a spiral. In any given moment, you are simply choosing a vibrational frequency, and your reality reflects that choice. You can experience the clarity of stage 5 and the friction of stage 2 all in the same afternoon. Do not judge your progress. Simply observe which frequency you are choosing. By understanding these stages, you can identify exactly where you are, validate your pain, and see the breathtaking destination that awaits you. The journey begins in what we call Stage 1, the unconscious life and the call of the void. For the vast majority of our lives, we live in what could be called a dream state. In this phase, you are completely identified with your ego and your thinking mind. You believe you are your thoughts. You believe your value is determined by your external achievements, your bank account, your appearance, and how others perceive you. This is the stage of the persona, the social mask we curate to be loved and accepted. Life here is linear and transactional. It is a pursuit of happiness that is always placed in the future. I will be happy when I get married. I will be happy when I make $1 million. I will be happy when I retire. But stage 1 is inevitably marked by the failure of this system. For the awakening to begin, the dream must turn into a cage. This often happens through a catalyst. Sometimes it is a tragedy, a sudden death, a divorce, a betrayal, or a health diagnosis that brings you to your knees. These are the moments that shatter the ego's illusion of control. However, for many people, the catalyst is much more subtle. It is a slow, creeping sense of soul-level dissatisfaction. You climb the ladder of success only to realize it is leaning against the wrong wall. You achieve everything society promised would make you happy, and yet you feel a cold wind blowing through your soul. This is the call. It is the moment the soul signals that it is starving. This call is a beautiful navigational signal. It is your guidance system telling you that the beliefs you are holding and the life you are living are out of alignment with your true vibrational frequency. The pain is not a punishment. It is an indicator, like a flashing light on your dashboard, inviting you to examine the beliefs that are generating that feeling. You are simply experiencing the fundamental law. What you put out is what you get back, and you are realizing you wish to put out something new. In this stage, you become a seeker. But, and this is a crucial distinction, you are a seeker still driven by the ego. You want to fix the pain. You treat spirituality like a pill or a product. You might start reading every self-help book, listening to podcasts, or obsessively researching philosophies. But the underlying motivation is, fix me so I can go back to winning at life. You are trying to use spirituality to decorate your prison cell, rather than to escape it. You are looking for a savior, a guru, or a magic technique outside of yourself. You are hungry, restless, and deeply dissatisfied with the status quo, yet you are still looking at the world through the lens of separation, believing that if you just find the right key, the lock will turn, and the old life will finally work. As the cracks in your reality widen, the light begins to pour in. But it doesn't feel like bliss. It feels like fire. You inevitably tumble into stage 2, the deconstruction and the dark night. This is often the longest, most brutal, and most misunderstood stage of the journey. If stage 1 is the realization that you are trapped, stage 2 is the demolition of the prison. But because you have identified with the prison for your entire life, this demolition feels like you are dying. In this stage, the dark night of the soul sets in. It is important to distinguish this from clinical depression. Though they can overlap, depression is often a lack of feeling. The dark night is an overload of truth. It is the total collapse of meaning. The dark night of the soul is a beautiful process. It is the moment you have finally agreed to turn off the buzzing, artificial lights of the ego's definitions. In that initial darkness, you feel lost because your eyes have not yet adjusted to the soft, gentle, and all-encompassing natural light of your own spirit, your own higher mind. You are not lost in the dark. You are simply recalibrating to a more authentic light. All the things that used to bring you joy, your hobbies, your favorite TV shows, your social circles, even your career, suddenly taste like ash. You might look at your group of friends and realize you have absolutely nothing in common with them anymore. Conversations feel superficial, draining, and pointless. You feel an intense, aching need for solitude, often withdrawing from the world to protect your newfound sensitivity. This is the stage of the shadow. As the great psychologist Carl Jung observed, you cannot reach heaven without your roots touching hell. The light of your growing consciousness begins to shine into the basement of your psyche, illuminating everything you have repressed for decades. Confronting your shadow is the same as investigating your belief systems. Your shadow is not a dark, monstrous entity. It is simply a collection of beliefs, definitions, and fears that you decided were negative or unacceptable. Now you are bringing them into the light to lovingly examine them and ask, is this belief still true for me? Does this definition still serve me? It is an inventory, not a battle. Old traumas, suppressed rage, shame, guilt, and unworthiness rise to the surface to be felt and integrated. The ego, terrified of its impending death, fights back with everything it has. It creates drama. It spirals into anxiety. It judges you, and it judges others. You might find yourself swinging wildly between feeling like you are spiritually superior to everyone else, a trap known as the spiritual ego, and feeling like you are the most broken, lost person on earth. Physically, your body often rebels in this stage. You might experience what are called ascension symptoms: strange aches, sudden exhaustion that sleep doesn't cure, ringing in the ears, or sudden intolerances to certain foods and alcohol. Your nervous system is literally rewiring itself to hold a higher frequency of energy, and this biological upgrade can be exhausting. The defining characteristic of stage 2 is isolation. You feel like no one understands you. You feel like you are going crazy. The ground beneath your feet has dissolved, but the new ground hasn't formed yet. You are floating in a void. It is terrifying, but it is necessary. The universe is not punishing you. It is liberating you. This is not a trial being imposed upon you. This is a curriculum you designed for yourself before you were even born. The universe is not breaking your heart open. You are simply remembering that your heart was never truly closed. It is stripping you of everything that is not you, every lie, every conditioning, every attachment, so that only the truth remains. It is breaking your heart open so that real love can finally enter. If you possess the courage to sit in the fire of stage 2 without running away, without numbing yourself with distractions, you eventually emerge into the dawn of stage 3. The integration, and the shift. This transition is often subtle. There isn't necessarily a fanfare of trumpets, but one day you realize the noise in your head has quieted down. The desperate striving to heal or fix yourself begins to fade. You stop trying to escape your human experience and start to accept it. Stage 3 is where the center of gravity shifts from the head to the heart. You move from intellectualizing spiritual concepts to embodying them. In the earlier stages, you read about surrender. In stage 3, you actually surrender. You realize that fighting reality is a losing battle. You begin to trust the flow of life, understanding that life is not happening to you, but for you, or even more accurately, as you. The defining feeling of this stage is the return of joy, but it is a different kind of joy than the fleeting happiness of the ego. It is a quiet background hum of peace. It is the joy of simply being alive. You begin to reconnect with the world, but on new terms. Nature becomes incredibly vivid to you. The greens look greener, the sky deeper. You might find yourself staring at a tree or a bird with tears of gratitude, overwhelmed by the miraculous nature of existence. Your intuition comes online in a powerful, undeniable way. You stop overanalyzing every decision with your logical mind and start listening to the quiet whisper of your gut. And strangely, things start to work out. Synchronicity becomes the norm. The right books fall off the shelf. The right people cross your path. You think of someone and they call. You realize that you are not pushing the river. You are floating in it. This beautiful state of flow and synchronicity is the natural result of applying the core engine of transformation, what we call the formula. Act on your highest excitement in every moment that you can, to the best of your ability, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption as to the outcome. Your intuition is your connection to your excitement. Following it without attachment is what allows the universe to support you in the most miraculous ways. This is the mechanism that creates the magic you are describing. This is also where relationships heal or end with grace. You stop needing others to validate you because you are finding a home within yourself. You stop trying to wake other people up or preach to them. You realize that everyone is on their own perfect timeline, and you honor their journey, even if they are still deep in the dream. The judgment of stage 2 dissolves into compassion. You see the suffering of the world not as a mistake, but as a calling for love. As this stability grows, the energy that was once consumed by your own internal conflict becomes available for the world, leading to stage 4, presence and the servant. This is a pivotal maturity point. In the earlier stages, the journey was about you, your pain, your healing, your peace. In stage 4, the me begins to fade and the we takes over. You realize that your awakening was never just for you, it was for the whole. This does not mean you have to sell your possessions and move to a monastery, nor does it mean you must become a spiritual teacher in the formal sense. In fact, stage 4 is often very ordinary on the outside. You might still be an accountant, a mother, a gardener, or a barista. But how you do what you do changes completely. You become a conduit for high-frequency energy. You become what is often called a light worker, not through grand gestures, but through the quality of your presence. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts. You listen to people with your whole being, creating a space where they feel seen and heard without judgment. You are not trying to save people, which is a subtle trap of the ego, thinking it knows what is best for others. You are simply holding a frequency of peace that allows others to resonate with it. You are a tuning fork. However, this stage comes with its own sophisticated traps. Jung warned of the inflation of the ego, where the ego identifies with the divine light and becomes arrogant. I am enlightened, it says. I am special. The true work of stage 4 is humility. It is the realization that you are not the generator of the light, but merely the window through which it shines. You must learn to keep the window clean. This stage also involves a profound simplification. You naturally let go of the things that clutter your spirit: toxic relationships, gossip, bad food, mindless entertainment. You navigate the world with participation without identification. You play the roles required of you, but you know they are just roles. You are in the world, but not of it. And finally, this dissolution of the other leads to the ultimate destination, stage 5, non-duality and the unified self. This is the state that the mystics call enlightenment, self-realization, or oneness. It is difficult to speak about this stage because language is built on duality, subject and object, me and you, and this stage transcends duality entirely. In stage 5, the illusion of the separate self collapses. You do not just intellectually understand that we are all one. You experience it as a living, breathing reality. The drop has fallen back into the ocean and realized it was the ocean all along. This is the experiential remembrance of the second law of creation. The one is the all, and the all are the one. You are a unique perspective of the one infinite creation, looking at itself. The constant chatter of the mind, the narrator that comments on everything, falls silent. There is no longer a doer of actions. There is only doing. There is no thinker of thoughts. There is only thinking. You are the witness, the vast, empty, silent awareness in which the entire universe is dancing. In this state, fear is impossible. Fear requires a me to be threatened. When the me is seen as a construct, there is nothing left to protect. Death is seen as a changing of clothes. Time is seen as an illusion. There is only the eternal now. The past and future are recognized as mere thoughts occurring in the present moment. This is also a deep knowing of another fundamental law. Everything is here and now. The past does not create the present. Your belief in the present about the past creates your experience now. By living in the now, you are free. While few people live in this state permanently 24/7, the awakened individual stabilizes here more and more. Life becomes a paradox. You take out the trash, you pay your taxes, you laugh with friends, but simultaneously, you know that none of it is real in the absolute sense. You are playing the game of life with total involvement, but with zero attachment to the outcome. This stage is characterized by unconditional love, not love as an emotion that comes and goes, but love as the fundamental substance of reality. You look into the eyes of a stranger and you see God looking back at you. You look at a blade of grass and see the entire cosmos. The search is over. The seeker has dissolved. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve, and nothing to become. You are that which you were seeking. As you reflect on these stages, you might feel a resonance with one in particular, or perhaps a mixture of several. You might feel the pain of stage 2 and the glimpses of stage 3 simultaneously. This is entirely normal. Spiritual awakening is not a ladder you climb once. It is a spiral. We circle back to similar lessons, but always from a higher vantage point. You may have a mini dark night, even after years of peace. This is not failure. This is deepening. It is crucial to be gentle with yourself. In a world that is obsessed with speed and productivity, the soul moves at the speed of nature. You cannot force a flower to bloom by prying open its petals with your fingers. You can only provide the soil, the water, and the light, and trust the intelligence of life to do the rest. If you are in the darkness right now, know that it is a womb, not a tomb. You are being remade. If you are in the void, do not rush to fill it with noise. If you are in the light, share it without expectation. Ultimately, the question, "What stage am I in?" is just another thought for the mind to chew on. The deeper truth is that you are not in any stage. You are the space in which the stages are happening. You are the sky watching the weather change. You are the silence beneath the noise. The journey does not end with a final explosion of light where you disappear from the earth. It ends, or rather continues, with a return to the simple human life, but lived with a profound, unshakable knowing. As the Zen proverb says, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The wood is the same, the water is the same, But the one chopping and carrying is no longer asleep. You chop the wood, you carry the water, and you know, deep in your heart, that it is all a divine dance, and you are exactly where you are meant to be.